James Turner for the untouchable true school sports. Let's go, baby. Bow!
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah. The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so we're getting another day here started in the beautiful Bay Area, Southern California. We're still in training camp with the future face of Japanese boxing, Yugo Osaki. So these days are always exciting for me. But listen, guys, a couple of things I wanted to comment on in regards to, Dana White's entry into the sport of boxing, as well as the recent meeting between the California State Athletic Commission and the public, in which they were fried and destroyed by every and any boxing fan or rider that was in that meeting call about the impending attempt to repeal the Muhammad Ali Act. So this will be a two-parter, guys. But we'll start with Dana White. He was making his rounds in the media, talking to some of the boxing media about, just some of his plans, his future plans as he enters the sport of boxing. Because let's be real, we've heard about it for years with Dana White. We've heard about him, and he had his boxing promoter LLC like years ago. I remember back in 2017 hearing about Dana White and Zuffa Boxing, and it was teased back years ago, almost a decade ago. But now he's really here. Now he's really working hand in hand with Turki Al-Sheikh, because Turki Al-Sheikh and the Saudi Arabian government and Riyadh season are going to bankrolling money. So if these events lose money, it really comes at no loss to Dana White. But as far as what he said yesterday, because now he's starting to really get more open about and direct about what his plans are, he said yesterday pretty much that he plans in 2026 to start his own Contender series, which we know is wildly popular in MMA, but he wants to do it in boxing. And he pretty much says, look, it's going to be a developmental show, prospects, the best guys fight the best guys, and then if you graduate past this level, then you will go to fight for Turki Al-Sheikh, and they will determine how much you get paid, which, again, the Muhammad Ali Act, that's one of the things that the Muhammad Ali Act will kind of protect you from. But, there's good points and bad points on both sides. Look, what I'll say is this. So let's break it down. So Dana White is starting a developmental series where the fights will be well matched, and people will care about the fights from the first fight to the last fight. Where have I heard this before in boxing, and is there anybody doing this? Where have I heard this before? Oh, that's right. We have ProBox TV. So basically, Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White are trying to create ProBox TV. That's how I look at it, because it's the same thing. ProBox TV has their own production. They match competitive fights. They've been doing a great job at it for 3 going on 4 years. It'll be 4 years in I believe February or March next year. So they've been doing a great job of doing that, and they pretty much have taken and filled the void that Showbox, formerly of Showtime, a very good prospect fight series that they had for many years. They filled that void in boxing. So am I against it? No, not really. I like when there's places for prospects to actually properly get built up in boxing and get tested and be in good, competitive, solid fights. I think there's always going to be a place for that in boxing. But it's like, Dana White is hilarious. He's trying to act like he's going to reinvent the wheel. He's like, yeah, we're gonna have a contender fight series, and fans are going to care about the first fight to the last fight, and we're going to fix the sport because it's broken. And look. Nothing is new under the sun. I wish him the best, but in my opinion, the way I interpreted it is like you're basically going to try to recreate ProBox TV, which they're doing a great job. And we have to look at it like this. Turki Al-Sheikh a while ago said that his goal is to crush every competitor in the market, which they've pretty much done. They've cornered and subverted the American boxing market, the British boxing market. They're trying to do that with the Japanese boxing market, but people aren't really hip to it yet. And now they're trying to do it with the prospect developmental series market, and that's one of the things that they're trying to, in my opinion, they're trying to phase like Gary Jonas and them guys out. And I know from talking to Gary personally, back when I was in Japan for the Angelo Leo Kameda fight, that these are his sentiments. Maybe they've changed. I haven't talked to Gary since then, but maybe these are his sentiments. But that's kind of where I stand with what Dana had to say about that yesterday. In other news, guys, the California State Athletic Commission held a public Zoom call in which, you know, fans and or media could chime in on what they think about the impending like changes they want to make to the Muhammad Ali Act, basically repealing the Muhammad Ali Act. Now, a lot of people who are just disgusted and disillusioned and jaded by all the years of nonsense we had in our sport at the top level, they'll say things like, well, BT, the Muhammad Ali Act is useless. For years, Al Heyman and many promoters circumvented the Muhammad Ali Act, which in some cases is true, right? However, at least there was something to try and circumvent. At least there was some form of protections to try and protect the better interests of the fighters, right? And not even just the fighters, really the sport, because really and truthfully, guys, a lot of people will say, well, you know, it's good for the fighters, but it's bad for the fans. Like, some people have said that, and they made that point, and that's not really true, because if there's no Muhammad Ali Act to encourage competition at the highest levels of boxing in the marketplace, then what it means is that if a promoter doesn't see value in a certain fight, we'll use Turkey as an example. Turkey, a fight that I and many other boxing fans want to see is Alexander Usyk versus Joseph Parker. I think it's an amazing heavyweight fight, right? But Turkey says he doesn't like that fight. He's not interested in that fight. So what happens in boxing? Parker is forced to take a step backwards and fight a fight that really does nothing for him in fighting Fabio Worley. And Mosley Talma still doesn't get the chance to fight Usyk, but neither is Parker, because Turkey don't care about that fight. So it is possible that if a promoter has too much control, that a fighter can do all the right things like Joseph Parker and still not get the shot that he deserves. It's already happening. Look at Jai Pataya. I just made a video about it. Jai Pataya is the lineal cruiserweight champion of the world. The man. He's the man to beat the man. He can't get the big fights against none of the champions. So my thing is this. Just because, you know, you have one guy controlling everything, it's not a great thing. In my opinion, I don't think it's a great thing. And a lot of people tend to agree with your boy BT, because a lot of boxing media, I saw some media members call in. I saw a lot of fans calling into that call. And the California State Athletic Commission was getting fried. They were getting destroyed left and right. People were saying, look, this isn't good for boxing. It's terrible for boxing. We don't like it. It's not good for anybody. It's not good for it's really not good for the fighters. It's not good for the fans. It's not good for a lot of people involved. You understand? So, yeah, that's what I'm coming at. I think, you know, and maybe it's just my American way of thinking, but, you know, I like capitalism. I like free market capitalism. I like, you know, competition in the marketplace. When you don't have competition in the marketplace and there's a monopoly on things, generally speaking, things tend to fall short of what they could be. Look at, you know, I've used this analogy before. I use it again. Look at the video game industry. Look at Madden, right? I'm a big fan of Madden. Madden's been a trash-ass game for about 20-plus years. Maybe like in the mid-2000s, it was great because you had NFL 2K5 and you had other games that would make Madden have to make adjustments and elevate and go to new levels. And it's the same thing with boxing. Okay, Turkey, you wanna have your own Contender fight series with Dana White? Okay, but it has to compete with ProBox, and ProBox has to compete with that. And whoever is the best, whoever makes the best fights, that's who the fans will watch. But that's not what they want. They don't want that. All right. They don't want that. They want full control of the sport so they can do whatever they want to do, and they want to bring a UFC model to boxing. And truth be told, I don't think that's a great thing. I think like everyone's talking about how great UFC is. Yo, I'm not no MMA fan, but I know enough to know that they're not even getting all the fights they want in UFC. I mean, did Tom Aspinall get his fight against John Jones? No. And there's a bunch of other fights, you know, that I've heard about. I can't think of them right now because I'm not an MMA guy like that. But you understand. Like, MMA is a broken sport. every MMA fighter I've ever spoken to being in South Florida, which I crossed past a lot of MMA fighters during my time in South Florida in the gyms. A lot of MMA fighters didn't even like Dana White and how they was paying them. So, yeah, basically, look, any and everybody who called into that Zoom call pretty much made their voices abundantly clear with the California State Athletic Commission. And funny enough, Andy Foster, you know, he is like the only guy in the call that is. Andy Foster is like the head of the commission. He's like the head of this whole campaign to kind of spearhead the repeal of the Muhammad Ali Act. Andy Foster was like pretty much not trying to hear nothing that every single caller was trying to, every single person was trying to tell him. It's almost like he came off as kind of like a paid lobbyist. He kind of reminded me of those slimy lobbyists you see on Capitol Hill in D.C. But he wasn't trying to hear nothing. He's still on board with it. So yeah, that's the news, guys. Dana White will start his own fight series, kind of in the same ilk as ProBox TV and or Showbox. And the California State Athletic Commission gets exposed by the whole entire sport of boxing and everyone that loves it. Basically, people are pushing back hard against this Muhammad Ali Act. So I'm very intrigued to see if that makes what kind of impact this makes as far as the Muhammad Ali Act. And yeah, the last thing I'll say about this, just like Dana White and Turkey trying to start a league. Again, I think there's positives to it, but I feel like we already have examples of what a league could be like in boxing, and that example comes in the form of Japanese boxing. Now, I love Japanese boxing, but there's a lot of things about Japanese boxing I absolutely can't stand. And one of the things I can't stand is that Mr. Honda has a monopoly on it. So certain fights you already know are not going to happen. Certain fights you already know are already at the table. Like in one of those fights is Bam Rodriguez versus Junta Nakatani. Because Mr. Honda has a certain philosophy of the way he likes to do things. And it's like, if you want an idea of what a monopoly could look like, it could look like Japanese boxing, which, I think Japanese boxing does a lot of great things. But there's a lot of things about Japanese boxing that makes me want to pull my fucking hair out. So those are just my 2 cents. You guys can leave yours in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Dang It. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe. You won't be disappointed.